tacos aren't even that good.
Warning. This video contains spoilers for The Last Church by Graham McNeil. It is recommended you read or listen to it before going on. If not, you might miss out on important information like the color of Uriah's pants or whatever.
Okay. Ooh, funky music. Also, I have been recommended a lot of the 40k books. Maybe someday I'll pick them up, but honestly, learning about the lore through all these videos that we've taken a look at has just been so much fun. And while I'm sure it's very well written, I don't know if it'll be as entertaining for me personally.
Denizens of the Imperial Palace and beyond, this Voxcast publique is designated Alpha Prioris. Continue your operations, but listen well to this very important announcement. Thought for the day. Use your two Emperor-given ears to listen.
Emperor-given ears?
Listen using any other organ is heresy.
What other organ would we use?
Overlord. That works.
Yes, you got my throat.
Oh, the three custodies are here.
Greetings, citizens! Welcome to this Voxcast publique, broadcast through VoxLink for the over 10 billion indentured servants in and around the phallic majesty of the Imperial
Phallic
Palace.
majesty?
This Voxcast is brought to you by the Cult Mechanicus of Mars, the Administratum, the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, as well as the Emperor's 10,000, the Adeptus Custodes, one of whom is I.
As well as I. Salutations to you, loyal Emperor lovers across the entire Imperium.
Actually, that's a good point. Is there always specifically only 10,000 Custodes at any given time? And what exactly happens when a Custodes falls in battle? Although, I don't think that has happened anytime recently. But what I'm assuming happens here is that there's only 10,000, and if they lose a few, they look for very specific individuals to become Custodes. Or maybe they already have them lined up in case. Because while I don't specifically know the process for becoming a Custodes, I know that it is quite different from the recruitment process for a Space Marine.
It is an honor to be here, speaking directly to you in the name of our glorious Overlord.
Greetings. I, too, am among the rank and file of the Emperor's personal guard. A pleasure as always, dear listeners.
I am not. I am an Imperial Fist. My wall name is Adorable, and you shall refer to me as such.
Still don't entirely get why, but as you wish, Lord Adorable.
Amongst us is also our Voxheller serf, whom we have named Boy. Say hello, Boy.
Hi? I'm the Vox Sailor Surf. I hold the Vox Sailor. That's my purpose.
Yep.
Did you really have to introduce that thing? It's just here to hold the Vox
So there was
Sailor.
such disdain.
Anyone ever notice how pale that boy is?
Yes. If we poured oil on him, his fluorescent skin would probably make a good nightlight.
Like this.
We are to enter the Sanctum Imperialis now, in which our father, the Emperor of Mankind, resides upon his throne. We shall then speak to him about a very peculiar record that his custodians unearthed during an operation into a so-called clown library. Do you mean a library that is a clown, or a library about clowns?
I don't need to explain anything about it!
There was a clown,
Adorable, please do
and
not
there was a
press it
library.
further.
That's all you need to know.
Oh, just like the record called The Hunt for Voldorius that we covered in our last Voxcast, the events recorded within the pages of this tome are so specific that it is almost as if it was written by some creature of omnipotent knowledge.
No,
the only
too
man
much.
I can imagine having written it would be the Emperor himself, but if not, I can probably speak for all of us when I say that we quite honestly would be terribly confused about its origins.
I am, for whatever reason, barely up to speed with these recent events, but if we are going to speak to our Emperor, I am on it like a space wolf smelling the scent of dust.
What does
Oh
dust
yes,
smell
brother.
like?
It is high time we meet our emperor.
Well, for those of you who are like, well, it has this very obvious smell, Xero. I'm sorry, I forgot. I don't have a sense of smell. I can't smell anything. That's kind of the byproduct of having so many issues with my sinus. It usually has to be something like really, really strong. Like, say, the smell of burning food. Or, honestly, anything burning in general.
Listeners, you can just sit back, relax, grab a bag of foam, and...
Where do we get the bag of foam?
Actually, never mind. Go back to working, you lazy knucks. You shall only listen to this for the purpose of expanding work morale and attaining some context for why you still get to lead your sterile and fabulous lives.
If I wasn't reacting to this, I would listen to it while I'm editing something.
Stop yelling at our citizenry, Tribune. They may lead awful lives, but the least they deserve is due respect for fulfilling their purpose.
I cannot hear you,
True.
I am opening the gate!
Come, boy. Let us into the sanctum
Boy.
together.
Go on to dear, boy.
Yes, of course I will keep up.
I believe in you, boy. You can do this.
My legs are not made for running.
What? How far are you
breathing,
going?
sir? Your mere presence is drastically decreasing the quality of our Voxcast.
I can't help it.
We should look into getting some cybernetic replacements for those lungs of his. Would probably quiet him down.
Master Lord Emperor Man!
Hut. What?
How are you doing, my glorious overlord?
A lot worse now that you are here. Why have you come?
I'm really glad though at least he had subtitles to tell us what the heck that sound was. Elsa, my imagination, I was gonna say your imagination, but it's probably only me, would run a little bit wild there.
Pardon our harsh and sudden intrusion, my master. We should have lubricated your person with knowledge
No,
of our
thank you.
entrance in beforehand.
Let's
You are
loop.
the absolute worst. Why do you make your presence known to me in my time of mending? I am currently resting my broken psyche, but the tranquility required to do so is getting smashed almost half as badly as your hindquarters every Blood Games practice.
We feel some information we have discovered may be relevant to your interests.
If you give me this information without a singular terrible innuendo, I may consider listening to you.
Oh, certainly. You see, I was thrusting forth through the bowels of that clown
As one of the
library.
10,000, you could possibly be my biggest failure, and you
Oh,
are living
damn.
proof that eugenics does not work.
Oh.
Hot damn, I'm starting.
Hot damn! At least I'm not the only one that says that. I feel like I say it a little too much sometimes, but like what else am I supposed to say during those situations that requires the hot damn? Damn hot? I feel like that would give off a very different vibe.
I don't see why that priest threw himself into the fire.
What
Did
happened?
you just say?
Manners, brother. You are speaking to our emperor.
Excuse me, I was getting to that, my king. I was reluctantly sliding around the hallways of that library when I came
With the
across a
clown in it.
section containing loads upon loads of imperial ejaculature.
What are you talking about?
Ejaculature? Is that even a word?
Out of my ears. Why in the fuck is Roy and the Vox Hailer here?
We are broadcasting this conversation, Father. We are doing a second Voxcast.
Oh boy.
I'm so sorry.
If you wish me to remove him, I can break his neck and throw him out the window, my emperor.
You really don't like boy,
No
do
need
you?
for more of boys insides covering my gleaming floors. But why did you not tell me about the stupid Voxcast earlier? My psyche is not prepared for this hard task.
We figured that since you are in perpetual pain, the harrowing distress of suddenly being forced into an uncomfortable situation with billions of people listening would soon dissipate into the sea of agony you are experiencing every
That
second.
doesn't make it okay.
No need to rub it in your mud-chopped yellow jacket.
Rubbing things in is not my job.
It's
You
their
have your
job.
custodians
Yeah.
for that.
Oh my.
Shut up and clarify why you decided this needed to be broadcast.
As we were saying, sir, we found a section of the clown library filled with stories similar to that of the Hunt for Voldorius record that we covered last time.
Dude?
Dozens of written anecdotes containing such insight that it couldn't possibly have been recorded and written by an external figure, yet it seems likely they were. Sometimes these records are told from a first-person perspective, sometimes from a second or a third, but they all detail events of Imperial history to an extremely incisive and honestly uncanny degree.
How do you know these records were not written by the ones to have experienced these events?
Well, this could perhaps be the case, but if so, may I ask, have you ever written a story called The Last Church under the alias of Graham Nile?
No, that.
Oh.
Huh, most interesting.
This is surprising.
If that is the case, there is some form of mischief going on.
This would certainly sound all kinds riveting if it were not for that passive-aggressive reference you made about the priest and fire. Tell me the context of this before I devise manholes in the throne room floor by smashing you through it.
We shall, my master. You see, our minds have been swallowed whole by this peculiar record. We have been lounging in its balmy insides and probed it of all its little secrets.
You are the worst. Get to the point.
I don't know. Maybe it was always the case, even before Emperor's GTS. But every single time I'm playing Space Marine 2 and they talk about the Xenos penetrating the facility, I always smirk a little bit.
This record is called Tales of Heresy. It claims to feature events recorded by peculiar figures such as Dane Abnett, Gave Thorpe, Graham McIntyre, and Jameis Swallow, amongst others.
For no doubt being carried by Eldar chroniclers, these are highly peculiar names. Well, except the last one.
Is it just me, or does the cover of that record have Agron on it?
It would seem so, yes.
Well, the highest form of irony is that I am fairly certain he never ever cared for the act of reading, or how letters function, or how to hold things that cannot handle grip pressure of 2,000 kilograms per square centimeter.
He instead highly enjoyed watching sitcoms.
Nevertheless, what does this record have to do with the martyred priest? I grow tired of you prolonging this.
Fine. We want you to read this tome from page 275 and onwards.
Throw it at me.
Literally?
Oh, as you wish, my emperor. Here goes. You ready?
Always.
Is he just flicking through it?
Now, he is reading it.
I wish I knew how to read.
Quiet, Seth. No one cares.
Damn.
Done.
Please don't hit me.
That was really fast.
He's the Emperor.
Of course it was. I am the mother-booping Emperor.
Yep.
Ultra rapid
The mother
read-through.
booping Emperor.
That is a funny reference.
Ultra rapid reading. Bro, I gotta use this at some point. Ultra rapid. It just sounds so intense and yet so silly.
Don't get it.
Thank you, Lord Adorable.
I don't get it.
So you
weren't
want to
there.
have this, a very private and personal meeting between me and the last priest, made public knowledge.
The record is a good example of the Imperial truth put into action. It also allows us to shed some much-needed light on the Age of Strife and how you came to be the Emperor of Mankind.
People really should just know this already. I cannot express to you lot how frustrating it is that I must waste my time reiterating the events of the past 10 millennia.
Boy, do you know what the Age of Strife is?
No.
No.
Doesn't know
Allow me
anything.
to explain. Sit in my lap. There is much room. No need for you to stand, boy.
Boy.
Oh.
Oh my.
I kinda like this.
I don't get it.
Tribune, switch this to a new segment.
It's like sitting on
you
Santa's
wish,
lap
Lord
when you're
Adorable.
sitting on Rogal Dorn's lap.
The Last Church. Setting.
Is it story time?
Very
Yes.
good. I shall tell you the tale of the Age of Strife, as told by my father to me.
Good.
And you, listeners, shall too hear the tale. It shall provide context for the record we are about to cover. for the events of The Last Church by Graham McNeil takes place towards the tail end of the Age of Strife, which you might also know as Old Night.
Old Night? Okay, I didn't know that.
It was the worst time to be a human on Terra, or Earth, as it was known at the time. Before the
I feel like every time is the worst time to be a human on Terra.
Age of Strife, humanity had reached the pinnacle of its progress in the fields of science and technology during the Age of Technology. As humanity conquered thousands of planets throughout the Milky Way galaxy, prospering for millennia.
Oh, wait, I forgot. I made popcorn and I didn't bring it. I'm just sitting here watching this. 1 second. All right. Popcorn obtained. Although, this isn't such a great snack idea now that I think about it. I'm wearing braces, so I kind of have to just suck on the popcorn. But you know, screw it. We do it live.
This era of expansion suddenly came to an end all too soon. A huge influx of mortals started developing psychic powers, becoming what is known as psychers.
It had to happen sooner or later, but this was an absolutely atrocious time for these symptoms to start cropping up. With a sudden influx of psychers, a corrosive wave of insanity, possession, and warp storms came with it, making space travel practically impossible. Every planet functioned essentially as a kind of void net, pulling ships out of the warp and straight into hell. This isolated the settled planets from one another for millennia to come, giving massive leeway for 1,000 haughty pocket empires to form, causing an age of segregation amongst mankind.
Is this when the, like, feudal worlds kind of popped up? Because they had been separated, then they kind of got shot back in terms of technology and were not connected to the Imperium.
The likes of which has never been seen since.
Not only that, but during the 23rd millennium, the technology that mankind had revered during the Age of Technology turned, as abominable intelligences called the Men of Iron rebelled against humanity in a cybernetic revolt. Huge wars spawning across all human worlds, starting what you might call the mechanicalism.
The wars of the machine were a massive hassle to deal with, especially in combination with the psyker hysteria that started cropping up around Millennium 22. The state of conflict went poorly for Terra. It was completely isolated by a huge inrush of warp storms, as usage of warp space to travel faster and light became dangerous and eventually an impossibility. And with Terra's over-reliance on technology to survive in the first place, this anarchy proved too much for its inhabitants as they spiraled into barbarism, superstition, and wanton slaughter.
That hasn't really changed much.
Governments eventually broke down completely as the planet became a massive battlefield for techno-barbarian warlords.
Thank you, Father. But during this horrible time, there was yet hope. A great warlord stepped forth and started conquering the lands of Terra with extreme efficiency. This warlord became simply known as the Emperor.
It's your boy.
It's your boy.
Emperor,
Let's
together
go.
with his army of genetically modified warriors,
The Thunder Warriors? Yep.
Predecessors of the Space Marines, started the Unification Wars, conquering the lands of Terra.
Apparently the Thunder Warriors were like insanely strong. Even till today, like whenever you send a squad over to defeat a group of Thunder Warriors, expect casualties mostly on your side.
The Emperor fought and won these wars, and with mankind's new master made clear to the people of Terra, the story in question takes place between the end of the Age of Strife and the beginning of the Age of the Imperium.
That is a nice and tight packet of information concerning the early history of mankind.
What did you think of this story, boy?
We don't deserve our emperor. He's too great for us unworthy peoples.
That is correct. You are a good boy.
Thank you, my lord.
Brown noser.
Now, perhaps we should make a quick...
Says you. You're out here being like, oh my glorious overlord. Although I suppose that's to be expected of you. It's going to be really funny if we get to a point later on and Boy reveals that Boy is actually not Boy, but girl. But like, you're surrounded by Rogel, Dorn, 3 Custodes, and the Emperor himself. You probably don't want to correct them.
Quick synopsis of the record in and of itself.
I'd appreciate that. I have not even read the book. Not that I tend to read books, that's for serfs and lex mechanics.
Provide a synopsis for this
That's why I haven't read the
old
books.
man who cannot read.
Hey, I mean, I can read.
Do not worry your flowing locks, brother mine. The record exists in audio format too.
Just go ahead with the synopsis.
Motion smashing.
The Last Church. Summary.
That's disgusting.
The Lost Church introduces us
Although
to...
it's really annoying whenever you kind of have to clear your throat on stream. Because you're talking so much, it's bound to happen eventually. That's why press to mute is so powerful.
Uriah Oliver, the priest and guardian of the Church of the Lightning Stone, which is the
Uriah.
titular Lost Church on Terra. He reminisces about how popular his church was once upon a time. His midnight...
Church sucks.
His midnight service drawing in loads of people due to the frightening wars of the outside world. Now it is not as popular as it once was. The church is empty, and he is alone, but not for long. As the old priest awaits his congregation in his lonesomeness, a single man enters his church, a stranger calling himself Revelation.
It's you, Boy. Again.
Okay. I thought so.
That is it for the oh-so-spoiler-free synopsis.
So, wait, is Revelation our glorious overlord?
You just
I just
figured
said
that
that
out?
but a moment
He
ago.
literally, yeah.
Way to go. You figured it out. Took you about 5 hours less than I thought it would.
Oh, thank you most graciously, my lord.
Shall we go ahead and let loose our thoughts about the story, my master?
Sure. Let us get to the nitty-gritty of what happens between us and the church.
All right, let us go.
There's something about the way that he kind of hollers every single time he says anything remotely like close to all right. There's just so much character in all these voices. It's really fun.
The Last Church. Review.
So, this is the time when I can inform you that this is not an event typical of those recorded in that clown library. These records have a tendency to contain at least one, often more, combat segments presented in incredibly grandiose fashions.
Not a surprise considering the state of a galaxy at large.
A fine observation, my emperor.
Fine indeed. But this record is an exception. It is simply a dialogue between two people. A religious man of a simple mind led to his belief by personal experience, and a staunch unbeliever wielding cold logic as his weapon, yet is
Your
also
boy.
laden with arrogance and prejudice.
What did you just say to me, you flaccid creature?
Yes, how dare you even think of articulating such non-correct thoughts?
I am sorry, my lord.
Honestly, he's just stating the truth.
Damn!
Oh, that is totally not so.
Come on, as we established, you can't even read. How would you know?
I can read!
Oh, sure you can, because you are such a nerd.
No, stop this
There's
humiliation
no winning, bro.
immediately.
Stroll along and lick your wounds while I continue.
I'll lick your face.
No thank you.
And shut up right now and move on.
The arrogance and prejudice carried by Revelation, something his followers, like my brother over here, would have a hard time swallowing, was established as harshly as can be only a few words into their dialogue, when Revelation calls Uriah's kind dour and leaden-hearted, having assumed him to be of the very same nature. And this is only one of the many, many up-and-coming arguments Revelation slams the poor priest's aged rear with throughout this recorded event.
His aged mind required his medicine, but he insensibly refused it up front. Even with limited space, and unyielding stubbornness, and, quite frankly, a whole lot of crap plugging it up, the medicine had to get in somehow.
Who's pulling innuendos out the endo now?
Your end is near if you do not cease, vermin.
Yeah, just stop being a jerk.
As I was about to say, though, Revelation's vindictive attitude, especially towards priests and religion in general, is made clear very fast, and Uriah proceeds to defend his belief as best he can as their argument flares up. But he is no theologian, he is simply a man of faith, so his worldview is slowly and painfully deconstructed by this strange man for reasons eventually made clear.
It is difficult to argue your religion against somebody who has lived for so long and literally seen the creation of said religion and the purposes behind that creation. Like, in many ways, one can believe in what one wants to believe in, and that belief can be very powerful. It can lead you to a better life and motivate you in certain ways. It helps anchor a lot of people, I would say. Unfortunately, it can also be used as a tool to manipulate people, as we have seen through various different cults and whatnot. I do come from a religious household, and I am indeed Buddhist, but it's not as if we were ever taught to be blindly faithful in our religion. Well, I mean, there are many different, I don't know what you would call it in English, and granted, I don't even know what you'd call it in Thai. Many different sects or facets or whatever to Buddhism. But personally, it's always been more about like a living life and being a good person to never do harm to others and to respect others for whatever religion that they may believe in, which I think is a fine thing to live by, so I'm cool with being Buddhist. But yeah, like, there's always upsides and downsides to religion, and while the Emperor thinks that it might be a great idea to get rid of it, I'm not too sure about that, because human beings are human, and we have our own human nature to contend with. Obviously, as we've seen with the results of what 40k has become, with everybody being a religious zealot, it didn't really work out so well. People need something to believe in, even if the Emperor doesn't really need one.
A no doubt immensely interesting dialogue, one that sheds light on the Imperium's early history and the character of our Emperor. But a painfully one-sided conversation, it has to be said.
Take heed, listeners, for these are the facts. The Imperium of Man is founded on the imperial truth. This is the verdict that all faiths and beliefs in the supernatural are to be gotten rid of. This was an integral part of the Unification Wars as well as the Great Crusade that I later started, reconquering the planets of the Milky Way galaxy much like I had conquered the countries of Terra. This record probably has one of the best demonstrations for how the imperial truth functions on a theoretical and practical level. Uriah Alethea and his craggy old church serving as the perfect representation of all whom rejected the new Imperium.
It was the imperial truth that brought this imperium to its height. Without it, all that would remain of you would be your ancestors' festering corpses. So shut up, boy!
What?
You are definitely not wrong. This is not a case of arrogance. It is a case of me being right versus mankind ripping out its own innards and willful wrongness.
Alright, time for the real talk. Sir, while I adore you like none other, while I would give my life to save yours in but an instant, while I would serve you for an eternity and more, while I am thankful for your graceful masterdom of our undeserving species, I have to admit that you are kind of an asshole.
Oh.
What? You dare? You
let's
actually
go!
dare?
You madman!
I mean, alright, listen.
Dang,
The Age of Strife was quite awful for everyone
just saying
alive
it how
at the
it
time,
is.
and the religions of old no doubt penetrated the veil of morality more than enough to warrant not existing anymore. There is no denying that.
There's always
But
good and bad.
come on now.
Are you, some speck of a middleman, of all creatures in existence, really criticizing me right now?
I have to agree that your actions were redundant, Father. All in all, what you did is you entered that church to have a heated argument with a harmless old mortal.
Exactly my point. He was harmless.
Quiet.
He was 80 years old.
Shut up.
He was tired and lonesome.
Shut your stupid
His
mouth.
only company was a rock and a doomsday
I will
clock.
sew
Poor
your
guy.
plates to your skull.
I am surprised he did not die of liver failure in the midst of the argument.
Cease the vibrations of your vocal cords immediately before I expand their mass and make you choke on them.
We good?
Choking is a function that had long since transcended.
Do you not think I have argued with countless preachers of all different doctrines? For that is exactly what I did during those times. They all either fell into my ranks or onto their polished marble floors. What makes you believe your all affair was to be treated differently?
I cannot rightly say. There is just something deep inside me, in my very core, telling me that you were kind of an asshole.
He just keeps on going.
I will humor you. Which one of my actions during the course of this record would you call asshole-ish?
Well,
I'm glad that we're getting
first
different
off,
perspectives
you
here.
assumed him to be dour and leaden-hearted, like, as you said, all priestly folk are. Those are among your first words to him.
Priests are prejudiced by nature. I do not see why I should not return the favor in kind.
That is kind of an asshole thing to assume.
Holy balls! All right, this
Holy
is
balls.
highly unorthodox. Would you like me to throw him out the window, my lord?
No, you triple strength prophylactic. Much as it is unusual for me to say this, I need his input so I can figure out how he, of all sentient life forms, has the gall to currently be criticizing me.
Well, while I do not wish to strap on the thong of the demon's advocate quite as tightly as my brother here, you never told Ecclesiarch Decius that he was dour and leaden-hearted.
Oh!
He and his
true.
erogenous dung tub are honestly pretty useful, and
Yeah.
I'm certain you agree, considering you are still keeping them around and all.
I mean, my guy is an absolute Giga Chad. So in that aspect, yes, he is entirely correct. If you assume that all religious figureheads are, like, really sad, dour, then why not him? Why is he different?
Just like Uriah, I gave him a second chance, but unlike Uriah, Decius did not decide to throw a fit right into an inferno.
I think that might be because you didn't decide to light the ecclesiarchal palace on fire after converting him.
That would be incredibly wasteful. The ecclesiarchal palace and all cathedrals at once house that wretched imperial cult is to be dedicated to the galactical establishment of the new imperial truth as well as the worship of mankind as a whole.
Why did you not repurpose the Church of the Lightning Stone in a similar manner? By the time your Thunder Warriors lit the church on fire, the old priest had been converted. You had already convinced him that his religion was nothing but falsehoods.
As I said, some things, such as old churches, are better left forgotten.
Gilliman would probably fight you on that. He
Of
likes
course he
his
would.
old cultural vestiges.
I would brutally spank his behind as blue as his livery if he did.
Right on!
Lewd.
No.
Besides, some old stone church would have had to make way for the factorums and scriptorums eventually anyway. No need to covet such pointless history when we can favor progress instead.
Oh, how soon we forget. Ignorance damns progress. That is what our glorious overlord said last Voxcast. I cannot help but feel that forcing this old church into the void of the forgotten is to deliberately enforce ignorance.
I wasn't in the last Voxcast, so I didn't even hear him say that.
We are currently bringing the so forgotten vestige of cultural history that you are attempting to defend up openly in a Voxcast publique. It was a different time, and different actions had to be taken for progress to occur. So you go
Okay.
eat your empty-headed church
I guess that's a fair
sympathize and
argument.
blather between two loaves of dumb and wrong while I remain in the right, as I always do.
So you would not burn this church down if it happened to exist today?
I would. But I would not have people forget it. I would instead make it an example to all of what happens if you insult me by insisting on building some scraggly damn cult check on my planet.
Oh yeah! Burn it!
Oh yeah!
Burn it! Burn it all down! Burn it all
Yeah.
down! Burn it all down! Yeah!
It is quite the vendetta you carry. Nevertheless, I have a second point to make.
Oh, please!
No, go right ahead. I am ready to thoroughly
call it the
debunk and
vitriol
viciously
in his
murder each
voice?
stupid point
It's
you
perfect.
bring up against me.
Perfect yes, man.
The second instance of assholishness that really stood out to me was when you told of the atrocities his religions had wrought in the days of old, like those holy men who killed a whole bunch of people while, well, for the lack of a better term, crusading.
Yes, his religion was
Crusading.
awful.
That is a very good example of how religion is used in a awful way to, well, destroy a bunch of people's lives. all for faith and whatnot. Which is really funny because in 40k, we still do crusades till today. And was it the Black Templars, I think it was, who are just on like a constant crusade forever? That way they can have more than the current limit of 1,000 battle brothers.
Barbaric nonsense influenced by the gods of Coas. What
Coas.
Well, I just could not help but feel like your hypocrisy reached some form of climax when you told him the difference between the old crusades and your crusade.
The difference is I know I am right.
A perfect retort, my glorious overlord. You are right. All.
You know that when you're arguing with somebody on the internet and that's their comeback, that you definitely won the argument. They have literally nothing else to say anymore. It's just, I'm right and you're wrong. Because obviously I'm always right.
Waste all the time. Shut up, boy.
Didn't say anything.
Why did you bring that up, Butler boy? Are you really going to challenge me on this?
No, perhaps not. But I am going to ask you why you did not just use your divine charisma upon his simple, mortal mind to convince him your crusade was justified. That way, he would have followed you no matter what.
I did not wish for him to follow me blindly like he had done his false god. I wanted him to make the conscious, free choice of following me.
Yes. In that case, you could have at least pitched the idea of humanity conquering the stars to him a bit better. I mean, if you did not mention the whole crusade thing and told him he would get first-class seats on the Bucephalus as it traveled across the solar system for the first time,
that sounds pretty neat.
then maybe he would have followed you. He was clearly a traveler at heart, and spending his last days traveling a new frontier would have surely given him the peace he sought.
Maybe you could have thrown in some liquor in the deal as well, I don't know.
Are you then suggesting I should have given this privilege to all preachers of Terra? Cause son, let me tell you how logistically screwed that suggestion is, and how logistically vacant your flopping skull is.
No. Just the ones you kind of liked, I guess. The ones with potential.
I do not follow.
To be quite honest, you and Uriah got pretty friendly at times.
Oh my.
It was actually quite cute, and I'd totally ship that ship if it hadn't started already.
No.
Well, to be fair, yes, he was admittedly all in all rather pleasant for a priest. And he gave me free liquor.
Oh really?
The only spirit you will ever believe in, eh?
Hey.
My second secret project has
Good
always
one.
been to awaken the immaterial god of alcoholic spirits. I would be amongst its most fervent followers.
I cannot tell if this is some kind of joke.
What's an
Thank you,
alcohol?
Rogel.
Alas, I cannot deny that the novelty of having the last priest of the last church join my newly founded secular imperium would have been gratifying. If I had spoken to him more than once prior to his brainwashing, I am sure his statue would be mounted somewhere here on Terra.
Whoa!
Hello?
Hi.
It's Death come to take me.
Hello?
Oh, good. Yes. Death, take boy.
Hello?
Calm down, boy. It is only a deranged tech priest.
Hello?
Can
What
you
do you
stop?
want?
Hello?
Why does he have a saurian for a face?
Good question.
From where did this creature emerge?
I recognize this priest.
We've seen him before.
He is supposed to be looking for my bike.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? A humble collector of knowledge may be beseeching your word. Would you believe I may have read this story through the pig feet of your custodians' helmets? Would it be possible to now ask an obnoxious amount of questions about it?
Oh
You
god,
are
here we go.
But okay.
The Last Church. Trivia time.
May I commence questionnaire protocol 0001 now?
You may.
Yes.
What is an Europa?
It is not to be confused with the ocean moon of Jupiter, as it is a Terran continent. It was called
Europe.
Europe before, but it is the future now.
I thought that was an ancient Phoenician woman.
I thought it was a band.
What about Isangula Verona? What is that?
Oh man.
Isangela Verona was an artist that lived about 11,000 years ago. She took commissions to paint frescoes, such as the one on the ceiling of the Church of the Lightning Stone. Four of her works mentioned in the record are the following. Number 1. Nude figures disporting in a magical garden.
Oh my.
Number 2. The explosion of stars. Number 3. The battle between a golden knight and a silver dragon. And number 4. A wondrous being of light surrounded by a halo of machinery. The The first one is a reference to an archaic book which spoke of the first two humans to ever exist, both of who lived in a magical garden where animals talked and everything was a trip.
That is dumb. Did you read it out of the Book of the Astronomicon?
You shut your face. The Book of the
The Book of Astronomicon was so dumb, man. But I guess that was just like early 40k lore as a whole. Needed a little bit of time to take shape.
Astronomicon is a treasure. Moving on, the second painting is more or less a hilarious jape on the priestess' expense, as it was an artistic representation of the Big Bang. I do not quite remember if it was Isangela herself screwing around or if it was due to some so-called divine inspiration, but having a church decorated with a secular truth concerning the origins of existence, as opposed to one of divine creation, is an insanely great prank.
Does sound like something you would do.
Yep.
Boy, do you know what the Big Bang is?
No.
Sounds really lewd.
Well, you know what? It actually does.
Are you serious right now? I was warming up to boy, but now you are turning him to your side.
It was a widely accepted cosmological model for our universe, telling us that all that is began as a single minuscule cluster of energy, which then expanded rapidly to the size it is today,
And is still
in a
expanding.
fashion akin to that of an explosion. A bang that is big.
How anyone in
Thank
my
you,
Imperium does
Crocodile.
not know this makes me lose so much hope for our future. How am I supposed to fight the heat death of the universe if no one even knows what a singularity is?
A thing of what?
Silence, Serf! Stop not knowing things!
Cease, Link. Anyway, the third
Oh man, I wish I could tell myself that. Just stop not knowing things. Easy. Know everything. I could make these videos so much more interesting if I had more lore to add to them. But unfortunately, even the lore that I do learn, I end up forgetting for a lot of videos. If only I wasn't human and I was an intelligent AI. I could search it up instantly.
third painting is just straight up me fighting a dragon. We'll not talk much more about it, but all in all, I am a hero.
Yeah, we know.
The fourth is a planted prophecy that later goes fulfilled as I descended upon Mars to greet the early Mechanicum.
Makes sense.
Considering that is a thing, I cannot help but feel like it was either you who commissioned those paintings, or that Isangela Verona was some sort of psycho.
Let us just say that, in the end, her works were not really divinely inspired as much as they were man-vinely inspired.
I'd prefer your man-lightenment any day of the week.
She died
Shut
after
up.
rejecting glory, honor, and exposure as adequate payment methods for her work. A total sellout, I am telling you.
What a vile woman! Utterly.
Oh, paying an exposure. Wow. I mean, when it comes to certain jobs, you take what you can get. You know, voice acting is one of them. And I took kind of my first steps editing for YouTubers with a little bit of an exposure. Not that that really got me anywhere, but I got some experience editing, and now look what I do. I barely edit these videos. It is good to have that experience in your back pocket, though, because at the very least I do know how to edit videos and work with audio and stuff like that. If I didn't know how, well, nobody else in our group can, so this YouTube channel wouldn't exist in the first place.
What is a Mariana Canyon?
It is the remnants of the so-called Mariana Trench that existed back when Terra still had water. It was the deepest known part of the world's oceans.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
have no
right,
idea
there's no
what
water
it is used
left.
for now, but I am certain that deep, gaping, and oh so convenient hole now holds mounds upon mounds of Terran excreta thanks to whatever swivel-eyed divisio the administratum set to handle Terra's voided bowels.
I could make a fine subterranean fortress out of it.
You will
if
fortify
it
this
was rinsed
position.
clean.
That actually makes me think of a particular SCP. I forgot the name of it, but it had to do with the Mariana Trench and like how there were records of how they reset the world and whatnot whenever there was like an SCP outbreak. SCP is such a fascinating universe, man.
What is a Frank?
Frank was a country in Europe. It was primarily known for its production of striped shirts, the Napoleon complex, and the best fist of the North Star dub in history.
I have heard
Really?
that streets were filled
I gotta take a look at the French Fist of the North Star dub then. I haven't seen the original anime, but I mean, after watching JoJo's, you kind of have a pretty good idea of Fist of the North Star. At least I would assume so.
With grayscaled clouds.
Oh.
What is an old knight?
It is another word for the age of strife, you idiot.
How did you not know? That is quite
I didn't know. I suppose I am pretty dumb.
Satwin and Gallienus.
Some ancient, irrelevant scholars whom he just as well could have made up the names of on the spot.
So these names are not based on some morbidly ancient yet still somehow relevant scholars from the early age of Terra as these usually are?
No.
Huh.
What is a Mediterranean dust bowl?
After water on Terra magically disappeared, so did the Mediterranean Sea, as it was called. It became, as the name indicates, a dust bowl.
I see.
What are a Nordafric conclaves?
Some society built upon the northern part of the continent known as Africa until the two latter letters were reckoned from history. Fairly certain there was a South Africa equivalent as well, but do not take my word on that.
What is an...
What? Erish was a nation led by a warlord known as Kalaganavarish. His territory spanned areas previously known as Russia, Asia, and India for the most part. I am fairly
It's pretty
certain.
big.
What about Shankar? What is a...
A general under Kalaganavarish.
This again? You already asked this.
What?
Goodness gracious, how
What?
horrifying.
Why does he say it like that?
Erish is indeed a word-do inquisitive pile of trash.
Who is Nathan Durm?
Narthan was the most infamous warlord of them all, the half-insane, half-genius, half-sand enthusiast of the Pan-Pacific Empire. His empire was incidentally only made possible due to the fact that the western portions of the Ring of Fire region disappeared.
Wait, is it Nathan Doom or Nathan Durm?
Both and neither, as befits someone who is somehow half-insane and half-genius. Good thing no one cares, he is incredibly dead and irrelevant.
What is Tally?
A pizza place.
And
What, really?
Scandia?
A buxom nation of dumb idiot traders in
Oh,
what was once the
no, Italy. The duh.
kingdoms of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden before they decided to not accept unity, and thusly got dunked in flames by yours truly.
And what about the Indonesic bloc?
It is another nation. Stop asking about nations, you vexing Donholzer.
What was the religion the priest held on to?
Muslim
Ostensibly
Christianity.
an Abrahamic religion, as they were called, or at least a descendant of one.
Perhaps something along the lines of Catholicism, which is lightly touched upon in another record.
Religious worship of a catheter seems highly ridiculous. It is no wonder you banned its worship, Father.
Do you know, I was going to smack you for being wrong, but if you look at it with a deep understanding of esoteric philosophy, you are uncannily correct.
Explain, please?
See, the urethra constitutes the brain, theism constitutes the damage, catheterization constitutes religious doctrine, and the flooding constitutes the awful bloody religious arguments pouring out from their skull.
Oh, goodness.
Honestly, sir, that comparison was painfully contrived.
Damaged urethras must have been common back in the day.
Yes.
I don't want to
This
imagine
ancient
it.
sect first formed in the early days of the Age
God.
of Terra, at the very beginning of the calendar we conveniently hijacked off of them. It somehow managed to survive for thousands of years, like a stubborn disease, and crazily enough, it might just still exist to this day. It is brought into full view late into the record when I revealed the history of this barbaric religion. I spoke of the ancient crusades and its indoctrinated acolytes who spouted the assault and killed countless of innocents. I also referenced the events of the massacre of Bessier in ancient France, as well as, and prepare yourself for this one, the establishment of the Catholic Inquisition. Yes, you
The
heard this
Inquisition.
correctly. There is an actual honest-to-fuck reference to the very Inquisition the one in the 41st millennium is so shamelessly trying to mirror. An organization that I myself call a dreadful, monstrous plague of hysteria in this record.
We made it
Don't
again.
think I have ever heard of such an organization ever existing.
I guess the name had to be derived from somewhere. Originality is dead.
Suffice
That
to
is
say,
true.
when I later on ordered Malkador to form what would later be known as the God Emperor's Holy Inquisition. His intention was absolutely not to make a horrific planet-murdering descendant of the 12th century organization going by the same name, and I would be knocked in the eye socket if that.
I mean, yeah, the intention wasn't there, but we kind of went down the path to it becoming this way, and then the Horus Heresy also happened, so some bumps in the road, you might say. Perhaps this is still a part of the God Emperor's plan, but only, well, who knows what the God Emperor's plan is, so... Oh, I'm sorry, the Man Emperor, my bad.
Was his intention, and he is just screwing with me from beyond the grave.
Could this be the last question?
Hopefully
what
it
was
is.
the Lightning Stone, really?
I do not even think we provided context for the Lightning Stone in the
what is
first
it?
place.
It's named...
It is just
the church
a
is named
dumb
after
stone
it.
that got hit by lightning. A blind and deaf man was supposedly nearby when it happened, and was cured, or something. It is really vague, and quite an awful, self-contradictory story dug straight from the contents of someone's catheter bag.
But the stone did exist, at least?
Yes. The Lightning Stone is actually an ancient pinnacle of rock previously known as the Old Man of Store, before the Little Lightning Stone fantasy came to fruition. It existed upon the Isle of Skye, which was part of an empire known as Great Britain in ancient times.
How great was this Great Britain?
Not that great. It was actually pretty small. Had a lot of lands though, so that goes for something.
I may or may not
Townlands?
have any more questions, but might I be leaning towards no?
I
Why
have
are you
no
asking
idea
this
what
as a
compelled me
question?
to answer all of these questions.
Can I break his neck?
Not
Yes.
now.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
later.
Do I have a theory? Yes. The theory is the Emperor of Mankind, in fact, a giant asshole?
Definitely going out the window. Be gone! Rat!
What is a throne?
There he goes.
Now that is done, do you know what I am going to do?
What shall you do, my master?
I am going to, for just a moment, acknowledge your piteous little wishes.
Will I get to suckle your kneecaps?
No.
No, you will not. I shall
Why did you
summon
say it
forth the
like that?
Uriah from the depths of the Immaterium to speak to me once more.
Wait, he's still
A
here?
final dialogue between the two of us.
Whoa! Whoa!
Well, I mean, from the Immaterium,
Shipping
so-
time!
Oh, of course that's what
you
you're
can really
concerned
do that?
with.
Of course I can. I am the mother-stomping emperor.
Father, are you certain this is a good idea?
Probably
Yes,
not, no.
I came up with it. I shall
It's always a good
locate his
idea.
essence and project it here.
Here we go. Actual Uriah's perspective.
What? Where am I?
Nani?
By the gods, what is this hideous light? Oh,
By Gluteus Maximus!
Yes! Okay, I gotta use that too. By Gluteus Maximus! YouTube can't bonk me on the head for that one. I'm simply using a scientific term.
no. Wait, just a moment.
Oh no.
Oh
Wait,
my.
wait, was that Rogel Dorn screaming? 1 second.
Wait, just a moment.
Oh no.
Oh my god, it was! Oh man. Is that what I sound like whenever I do a little scream when I get surprised by something?
Oh my gods! It is in revelation in the flesh. Oh, well,
very little
sorry,
flesh.
That isn't a very apt way of describing it anymore now, is it?
Stay back, filth! You will not speak to our glorious overlord in such casual a fashion.
Thrones trousers, what has happened?
My apologies. Excuse me. You seem to have
A little bit of
forcibly
chaos
summoned
has
me at
happened.
a most inopportune time. I was just preaching the word of the gods to my congregation.
Oh, no.
No matter. Have you perhaps brought me here for a second round?
Here we go.
I knew this day would
White.
come, you know. But I have to give you fair warning, however. For believe me, old friend, I now have not but the moral high ground, but also approximately 11,000 years of stone-cold fact to back up my faith.
Here we go.
Teeth is a cause, man!
Oh, damn it. I've been unwittingly defending someone who is now a literal demon this entire Voxcast. Ah, well, time to go inject Promethean cocktail into my face and get turned into a dreadnought.
Excuse me, but I have to first of all ask what in the grandest galactical gobsmashing fuck has happened to you, Uriah?
Revelation happened.
Are you sassing me right now?
He is sassing you right now.
How dare you sass the Spasperer of Sasperer? Sasperer!
Not
Yes.
as much sassing as I am perhaps thanking you. Albeit an indirect action, your crazed arrogance was what brought me to find the primordial truth.
You're welcome,
through
bro.
baptism in the flames of terror's last religious bastion.
It's just wrong!
I would contend that the self-immolation has had the opposite of its intended effects.
After you stripped away my faith in both God and humanity, I thought I had lost it all. Nothing remained for me in this world. Nothing but despair, persecution, and loneliness. In a new world bereft of its morality. The conflagration that had once been my church, I then saw as my only salvation. But in the midst of the inferno you had so ruthlessly started, I heard their voices. They called to me.
The Kawas?
They wanted to help me. They saw
course they
my
did.
faith not as tragic and fruitless, but as tenacious, honorable, sophisticated, and beautiful. They assured me my existence had purpose, that the life I led had not been a lie, and that they wished it not yet snuffed out. They truly did exist, and they saved my immortal soul and brought me to the heavens.
Heavens is
For them,
kind of pushing
I
it.
remain to this day. I yet stand as the last true priest of terror in the name of the gods, and I will preach their word to all whom are willing to hear it. So, friends, would you care to join me for the midnight service?
No, thank
It's
you.
not midnight, it's noon, traitor!
I hate
Good
this.
point.
I hate everything about this. This is taking a huge dump over the entire being who was Uriah, and the record in and of itself. Why would anyone do this?
I am quite horrified.
Fine then. Into the fray once more. We shall joust with words, thrust, and parry one another's certainties with argument and counter-argument.
Hey,
Say
discussion.
what you will, and we will
That's how it
start for a
goes.
few minutes or so. I really do not have more time.
That is my intention. I have other matters.
We do have
to
plenty of
attend
time
to,
left.
But a few minutes I can spare.
Did you two just quote your previous conversation almost verbatim?
Shut up, Rogel. Daddy is busy.
I am adorable.
You are adorable.
You're really not.
First off,
No, how could
making
you?
the transition from a belief that, while immensely
Uriah.
hypocritical, primarily proclaims itself servants of love and prosperity of all mankind, to a belief that praises literal, actual demons is so beyond logical reasoning it could be a religion in its own right.
Demon is but a name you foolishly apply to them to manufacture pretext. You frame them as objectively evil, but in that same regard, I could call them angels.
Oh no, he has actual arguments. Run for cover!
You must be screwing with me now. Have you ever seen a bloodletter?
Yes, I am aware as to how they appear.
Right?
but-
Just look at this Yubarmi marble druid.
Oh, that's a picture of a bloodletter.
Yes, I am aware as to how they appear, but...
Had it been 11,000 years earlier, and the sucker came for a visit, you would be void.
Actually, aren't the like biblically accurate angels? Don't they look quite monstrous in nature? Once again, I'm not Christian, so I don't really know much about this, but I've heard so that they are quite strange and not the general depiction that media has kind of pictured them to be nowadays. But in that same regard, a bloodletter, whenever you meet them, they're probably gonna crush your skull in and then pour out the blood from your body, so I don't know if I'd worship that.
Your bowels witnessing a literal Satan strolling through your church.
This is all semantics. To be quite honest, I do
Semantics?
not care for what the Neverborn might appear for you.
Never born.
What matters is what they are.
Yes, and this nice young man would like you to distribute mandatory alms to the Church of Mega Satan by ripping out your jugular and pouring its contents into a mile-wide goer lake.
See? You're doing it again. You're framing them as objectively evil and
What do
leaving
they
them
do?
that.
That's
Something
exactly
you've
what they
done
do.
Since time immemorial. You frame things as harmful when it's a lot more nuanced.
I am not framing anything. This is verbatim what blood letters do. It is even in their damn name.
Yeah.
The service of corn is
A weapon
not,
they use is literally called a hellblade.
much like the poorest servants of the powers. You focus all too much on such petty things as names and exteriors.
You forgot actions.
I am vastly different in my own worship, the one I spread to the masses. I worship the powers undivided as a singular entity.
Undivided,
I perceive
you
the
say?
various powers as aspects of one vast benevolent being. I wish
Archaeon?
for myself and all
Is that
life
you?
willing to give themselves to the purest form of devotion to the powers in its unadulterated whole, coming as close as can be to the true God of this existence.
You cannot possibly believe those wretched cock muffins up there are somehow part of the same entity.
Oh, hey, the word cock isn't censored. That's good to know for the future.
Can I not? I believe it makes sense.
In what regard?
They are part of the Immaterium as the Immaterium is part of them. They are all connected, integral
mean-
parts of a full body.
Well, the way I
Fair?
see it is that what we call coas gods are like malign growths on said body. They need to be removed, so the body as a whole stops destroying itself. Remove coas.
That is quite ludicrous. Do you realize?
Remove coas.
No. If you were to do that,
Remove
then
coas.
listen here. That is not even how it's
Remove
pronounced.
coas, remove coas,
Stop
remove
that
coas,
immediately.
remove
You're acting
coas,
like a
remove
petulant
coas,
child.
remove coas,
The
remove
grievous
coas,
skeleton
remove
of a
coas,
child is
remove
what you
coas,
are.
remove
I
coas,
can't believe
remove
I'm
coas,
having an
remove
argument
coas,
with a
remove
child.
coas, remove coas,
Also,
remove
stop it.
coas.
Stop it.
Remove
If you don't
coas.
take me seriously, I will not be having this conversation
Remember
anymore.
that one time when you worshipped a book that said, abstain from things polluted by idols, from sexual immorality, from what is strangled, and from blood. But then you fried your brain and began worship of all those things instead.
All right, listen here, you shrieking revenant.
Quoa.
Actually,
I'm
not
getting rather
wrong.
sick of all this horrid hypocrisy that you're heaving forth. But since you want to play that game so badly, let's go.
Priest is man.
First
All
off,
right, let's do
since
this.
you focus on such petty things as
Calm down.
exteriors and namesakes, let me do the exact same thing. Let's see what happens. So let me think. You directly or indirectly repopularized the usage of many, many words that were previously almost exclusively used
Right.
by, for, and with different religions, such as crusade, church, cathedral, sanctum, prayers, sacred, holy, divine, chastity, litany, purity, faith, angels, halo, priest,
Halo.
prioress, canoness, martyr, cherub, chaplain, templar, cardinal, ecclesia,
The list
titan,
goes on
saint,
and on.
pilgrimage, blasphemy, corruption, the Council of Nicaea, the Inquisition, and of course, heresy. Just to
Heresy.
name a few. And here
Everything
you
is
are,
heresy.
sitting in your glimmering god couch, led up to by a giant reference to Stairway to Heaven in a literal golden palace the size of 1,000 landscapes, incense candles all over the place, and you dare call me a
He's got a
hypocrite?
point. He's got a point.
Most of those were Lorgar's fault.
You made Lorgar. He is a direct cause of your actions.
Lorgar, yeah.
Lorgar made himself
Yeah,
follow
kinda.
the path of his own religion. In his own blindness and desperation, he sought what he couldn't find in Father.
Precisely. He only became a religious nut because he was put on that irrational oratory of a planet Koshis by the Koas Cretan.
And you decided
I suppose
to still
so.
give him an entire legion and the power to spread his faith. Which, was the belief that
Oh
you...
man, this is such a good back and forth. Like, I can agree with both sides. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But wait, counter argument, that does make sense. But yet counter argument. I hope in future TTS podcast episodes we do more of this. it's really cool to see things from the perspective of characters, or supposedly see them from their perspective, because I don't think Uriah is here anymore. I think this is kind of just a representation of him. Unless if he is somewhere in the warp and that's actually canon.
You were a god, by the way. Totally called that one.
The fact that he recognized me as a god was entirely coincidental, and not my intention.
You ragged corpse! Every single facet of your entire damnable Imperium, from its looks to its methods to even its religious symbolism, is neither coincidental nor accidental. You have done all this on purpose, and now you seek to deflect blame onto those whom you supported.
Shut it.
For God's sake, Revelation! Sanguinius literally has angel wings.
I mean,
how could you have accidentally done that?
I believe those were caused by radiation on his homeworld.
Radiation
Oh my god,
does
really?
not cause anyone to grow angel wings if they were not genetically predisposed.
Is this true?
Was it not you who just said stop focusing on petty things such as names and exteriors?
And that is exactly my point, you sanctimonious arse. Even as you began coating your Imperium with religious iconography and naming conventions, you still spread your horrid imperial truth, longing for a galaxy of secular superiority. Ooh, look at me, I'm so rational. Even while claiming to have the moral...
Bro, Uriah's VA is absolutely killing it with all of these undertones to what he's saying. It's great. Some really good voice acting work here on all fronts, as always.
High ground, and that religion is and always will be a source of destruction and despair, you go on literal crusades, killing billions who do not consent to your enforced belief system. Your imperial truth has killed more people than any religion in the history of man.
Yeah, actually true.
I know I am right.
Fuck you! And also, I wasn't done.
He just keeps on going.
Keeps getting worse.
While you revel in this grand display of abhorrent pietism, the primordial truth too contradicts itself, but in the right way, in that while it may seem to you like the incarnation of objective evil, it actually brings forth purpose for humanity. Pride, hope, relish, bravery, and all dreams and emotions of mankind are praised to their highest regard. Beneath the rugged exterior of the powers, you find goodness in the heart of men. Beneath the deliberately hollowed exterior of your imperial truth, you find but a fruitless existence.
The supposed purpose you speak of is...
Okay, I think it kind of makes sense in a way for your eyes to see these things in the way that he sees them, because, well, chaos, or coas in this case, works in mysterious ways and may present itself to him by showing its good qualities like this. Because, while, you know, they're mostly bad, there are certain good things about them, things that they do represent, which would be seen as good, is probably the better way to say that. So from his perspective, I can see that, but from a different perspective, Coas causes way too much trouble for literally everybody. And granted, it's kind of a byproduct of a war that happened a very, very long time ago. But still, human nature also has a big part to play in that.
Is but an awful excuse to ever revel in your ultimately inessential feelings, as multi-dimensional intelligences suckle from your naive brain teat. Your purpose is to be a host to parasites. That is no life worthy of existence. A true purpose would be not to comply to an astral oppressor, but to make a mark against its tyranny. Ascend your primal mind and become something greater than a mere god. Conquer the coatic parasite infesting your brain and retake it with an iron hand.
And again, your words are riddled with hypocrisy. If you stood fully behind your own words, you would have accepted the interlegionary wars for what they were. The Primarchs themselves marching against tyranny.
Interlegionary wars. I suppose he's referring to the Horus Heresy, and he won't specifically use the terminology for that because, you know, screw the Emperor. That was a smart addition. Ultimately, this whole argument boils down to the classic law versus chaos alignments in Shin Megami Tensei. Or rather, in a broader sense, you could view this as like the basis for almost all conflicts, I would say. Like, do you have people in a system, or do you allow people to compete with each other and those who have greater ability to rise up above everyone else?
Your tyranny!
No matter how much you may think so, there is a key difference between me and the tyranny of the Koas gods. The differences.
Good lord.
I know I am right.
Of course.
Can you even give a reason for why that is?
Of course I can.
What is your reason?
Because he's a emperor.
Simple. I want to sustain humanity. The Koas gods only want to sustain themselves.
Oh, that's
True.
dung if I ever heard it. You wish to sustain humanity. Fine. But to what end? All that I have ever seen is men and women slaving their lives away in squalor to perpetuate their betters. Their betters being you.
No. The gods need you and your pitiful, unstable emotions to exist in the first place. I made the Imperium so that mankind may thrive away from these base emotional predations. Since, do you know, gods like Korn really just want their blood.
And just like how they need us, we need them. Just as how the gods are our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, our thoughts, feelings, and emotions are the gods. We cannot exist without them. What makes up our beings are our minds, and without emotion, without thoughts, and without feeling, we would be naught but drooling, non-functional servitor meat. The gods have existed since time immemorial, born with the first vestige of a thought. The powers want to sustain themselves as much as they want to sustain us, for we are one and the same.
You are in dire need of a fact check with all this unsourced sewage you are spewing. The malevolent sentiences you know, as the powers, could not even help you make a goddamn sandwich. They are tumors that have grown from the horrid emotional instability of a galaxy.
Yeah.
A constant war.
Yep.
If these consciousnesses were to be put out and freed of
Okay,
ascension,
like, there is a sense to this where I feel like, yeah, sure, you could view it in that way, but also you have to keep in mind that your eyes is speaking from the perspective of somebody who worships chaos. The fact of the matter is, chaos inherently is, it's not really self-preserving, it is self-destructive as well. Because as we saw with Warhammer Fantasy, if chaos wins, then everything just kind of ends. If I recall correctly, there were comments talking about that, and I feel like there were a lot of people who had the sentiment that even if mankind kind of died out, chaos would kind of still survive for a long time with all the souls within the Immaterium. It wouldn't be like a snap and then everything is just a void. There's nothing left, you know. And while all of this is kind of more theoretical talk, I do feel like that's kind of the intention of what Chaos was supposed to be. Before, you know, they had to cancel Malal because of the copyright stuff. Because if I remember correctly, Malal was supposed to be the representation of that self-destructive nature of Chaos.
it would make no difference for the ones not woven up in their crooked pyramid schemes.
As I told you, the gods that make up the whole of the powers undivided have existed since the very first conceived thought.
How do you know this?
They are interchangeable with our emotions. They cannot just be
Is that
taught
true?
out without all sentient life in the galaxy going out with them. Whether you like that or not is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is that this pyramid scheme you are talking about is simply what we normal people would call being human.
Please define normal people.
I can honestly understand why your sons betrayed you. With this callous attitude of yours, it's only
I
gotten
understand
worse
why
with
as
the
well.
years. You do
It's not hard to
want
see,
sustain
but
humanity.
also understandable.
You want humanity purged of all the flaws you see in it. You do not fight for humanity. You hate humanity, and you want it changed into something distinctly
that the Emperor simply wishes to shape humanity in the way that he sees fit. That's actually a really good argument. I don't really see any counter argument to that, considering all the Emperor kind of does in order to, like, shift humanity's history in order to lead it to the path that he has foreseen for us. Are we right to blindly believe in the Emperor's plan? Granted, the Emperor is a perpetual. He's distinctly a different kind of being from your average mortal human being. So maybe he truly does have the best of intentions for everyone, even if that may mean some may get left behind. But for your average person, the situation sucks.
Human, you want an enforced belief to replace free thinking. You want obedience to replace mutual companionships. You want the lives of your people to be dedicated to nothing but servitude to your malicious, self-serving cause. And oh my, how painfully ironic it is that I tell you all this. This is the same rationale which you use to pave my path to your own brand of enlightenment. But in the end, I saw in you the exact same oppressors that you sought to destroy. You.
Dang, dude. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Now, once again, gotta take a step back. Obviously, these are words from a very chaos-corrupted priest, but there is the rationale there. And you can see where he's coming from his perspective.
You may call me a hypocrite for having altered my worship, but I still preach the same word of love and prosperity, just as I did back then. Only in the name of gods I know for true watch over me. But you? Your arguments have run dry. Your scapegoats have withered away. Your secular galaxy cannot exist. And you will never be able to fulfill your godless ambitions. And how do I know this? Because I know I am right.
And that is where I am
wrong. Dang, dude. Man, that speech was incredible. I loved every second of that. And also the way that he brought it all back in on the Emperor with the Uno reverse card with the I know I am right. Man, I love that when a speech is able to call back on ideas that had been introduced earlier on. Such good writing for this one.
Drawing the line. This dumb miasma of incorrectness you are permeating is starting to manifest its own idiotic sentience.
Alright.
The game has changed since our
Let's see
previous
this, Emperor.
discussion, and as much
Fight back.
as you may believe you are in the right, you will be convinced otherwise sooner or later. All in all, nice discussion, heretic, but it is time to stop.
Oh, good.
Nice
The
discussion,
H-word.
heretic.
Being all ironic, are we?
Yes.
I had assumed your humor departed with your skin.
Really sorry, my lord, but this very sensitive, divisive, and controversial discussion about coas ideologies has caused a few civil wars to crop up across Terra
We are,
already, so
broadcasting this publicly.
perhaps we should distract our listeners by moving on and reading some questions sent in by them before more of them start stabbing each other.
Actually, I think that might be the taco dilemma still going on.
Yeah,
no,
it is.
No, these are new, unfortunately.
Do not
Sag.
worry, we will quell the rebels in a short time afterwards. We'll just tell them nicely to stop having opinions.
Fine. Read me some awful questions from our most painfully inept citizens.
Can you send me home first? My congregation awaits me.
Absolutely not. You will suffer these questions as well for your crimes against humanity.
Oh, for the love of chaos. Now I suppose I understand why you were mispronouncing it.
Go, start
Yep.
reading, before he fades out of this realm.
Yeah.
Questions and answers segment. Also, holy shit, is that a cat worshiper? What the fuck?
Wow, even the announcers are rude.
Right, first question. Great and mighty Emperor, considering the fucked up nature of the galaxy right now, why don't you start making some Thunder Warriors to get everything sorted out for the moment? I mean, I know they were supposedly unstable and insane, like an army of teenagers, but they also don't live long, so maybe they can fuck some shit up that is our shit up, and when they are dead, we can send some Astartes to fix everything up. I have heard
That's
that
actually not a bad plan.
Belisarius Cowl has something awesome in his labs. but I have a feeling that his idea won't catch on, and certainly isn't involved with any of your loyal sons. Kindest regards, Sexual Yeti, porno slate artist.
Look, individual whose name literally is
What
sexual
kind of
yet.
artist?
There is a reason why the Thunder Warriors were taken out back and killed in glorious combat in the final battle of the Unification Wars.
Well, you know, they were only prototypes. They decomposed fairly quickly, got a
I like
Stargaze
how
on the way.
all the
and,
custodians immediately
I
jumped on
wholly
that.
agree with the sentiment that they were like an army of insane teenagers. This man is quite enlightened for a porno
Yeti.
slate artist.
Not
You
that
are
too.
only saying that because they threw you off a cliff and laughed at you.
You know, them throwing me off a cliff isn't exactly the first thing that comes to mind when I think about those mass murderers.
What comes to
Got you
your
right,
mind?
Revelation. Besides, not even sure what you're talking about with this whole died in glorious combat thing.
They were kind
Last
of
I heard,
exterminated.
they were all put down like dogs
Yeah.
by your
No,
golden
they
underlings.
all died in glorious combat on Mount Ararat. End of discussion. Stop.
You know, I'm pretty sure there is no mountain going by that name.
Well, this segment's getting cut.
Perhaps we should consider cutting the entirety of Uriah's appearance out altogether.
Perhaps we should consider cutting Uriah with a guardian spear.
I'm
Perhaps.
incorporeal, you absolute tosser.
Am I the only one curious as to what the pornography man meant by Archmagus Belisarius Carl having something awesome in his labs?
No, you're
as if
not,
to imply that
Rolandor.
he is creating new Thunder Warriors.
I do not care in the slightest. There are billions of tech priests across the Mechanicum committed to their own little tech heresies.
Yeah,
They
that's
will
what they
never get
do.
their projects out there to aid the Imperium due to the restrictions put on them by their overseers and their culture. I am quite certain he, and every single other cogcock in the cult is just working at some hollow, futile endeavor that will not go anywhere, like making female Thunder Warriors or reinventing the squads.
For some reason, I recall Gilliman having mentioned
Hey man, the muscle mommies though?
this Magos by name in the past, but I am unsure as to the context of the conversation.
Was it about reinventing squats? Because I told Gilliman that he was not allowed to do that.
What's a squat?
Do not worry about it, boy. No need to depress you with such information.
Okay. It's not literally doing like an exercise squat. They were supposed to be the dwarves of 40k, and that idea got scrapped, and they're bringing them back, but the Voltan. Voltan? Votan? Votan sounds more right.
Okay, Lord Adorable, sir.
Aw.
Excuse me, but could you please move on? I do not have all millennia.
Very well. Here's the next question. Dear Emperor, what are your thoughts on the Volca Fenrica's honorable stance against the Inquisition concerning the citizens of the Imperium that
yes.
nearly sparked a civil war? Sincerely, a loyal citizen.
Volca Fenrica. That's the Space Wolves.
Thanks.
Good job. The illiterate eggplant strikes again with information absolutely no one of us knew.
Eggplant?
Oh, yes, Revelation. What are your thoughts on the God Emperor's Holy Inquisition being stood up to by a pack of galactically misplaced Scandians?
If you had not noticed, Beelzebub, I despise the fact that some stupid dumb idiot decided to ironically name Malcador's organization, the Inquisition.
Are you sure it wasn't you who named it? After
did
all,
name it?
your very existence demands 7 layers of irony to even comprehend.
He cannot be certain. My father's memory is fractured, so it is fully possible he could have named it himself and then forgotten about it.
Shut your jaw or I will weld it shut.
If I may speak at the behest of our glorious overlord, of course he approved of a priest. To make this entirely clear, what this citizen is referring to is the conflict that occurred in the aftermath of the First War of Armageddon,
Okay.
in which the Inquisition started to force the citizens of the planet into labor camps, sterilizing and purging
What
them if
the-
the need became apparent, as well as conspiring to kill all the guardsmen who survived the
Oh, of
conflict.
course, the
This
Inquisition would do
resulted
that.
in a Cold War between the Inquisition and the Space Wolves, who took action in favor of freeing the Emperor's people and the soldiers of the Armageddon Steel Legion.
Hey, I mean, props to the Space Wolves for standing up for the people. The Inquisition, they don't really care too much because they have one job and one job only. To get rid of Coas, anywhere that it may be.
Honestly, that's a pretty senseless reason to get into a war over.
And why is that?
I mean, Who cares if the population of some planet gets treated ill after an attack by a force that is known to corrupt people against their will?
Yeah.
Case in point, look at this emaciated pastor man.
Oh, excuse you, nudist. I made the entire...
I'm gonna assume then that the Space Wolves are one of those Space Marine factions that are more considerate of the general populace than some of the other ones. And I think the Custodians as a whole, I would assume, don't really care too much. I don't know an awful lot about the Custodians, but it would seem that way, judging from the fact that they're like the last line of defense before anybody reaches the Emperor. They would probably, in lore, be like as cold as steel and do absolutely anything, whatever it takes to ensure the Emperor's safety. Even if that means, you know, letting a few planets go, a few planets worth of people.
The conscious choice of denying your god and accepting my own. I was never corrupted, nor did I turn into some rabid beast that needs castrating.
Damn it, now I'm conflicted.
What do you mean you're conflicted? You had good points!
Excuse me, but there is an entire separate record concerning the First War of Armageddon and the Cold War that followed. Perhaps we should cover that record in and of itself in a future Voxcast and continue this discussion then.
An excellent set-aside, it's tame. Go ahead with the next
I don't know
question.
too much about the War of Armageddon,
Yes,
so
naturally.
that would be nice to learn.
Oh, glorious Emperor. I would like to inquire about the mysterious being that sometimes aids our efforts in bringing peace and prosperity to the whole Imperium. The Sanguinor. Be it your action, O mighty master of mankind, be it in any way related to your favorite son, Hawkboy Sanguinius, blessed be his name. I hope you get your eye patches soon. Eternally yours, Battle Brother Camelius, Blood Angel 2nd Company, 6th Tactical Squad.
Yeah. Blessed by who?
Say, do we have any information on this Sangui boy present?
Oh, allow me just a second.
I cannot wait for you to have 2 bionic eyes implanted, Father. It would look very funny.
You are not allowed to laugh at all ever.
I will laugh a lot, Father. In my mind.
I will turn all your body's dopamine supplies into pure mercury if you do.
Here we go. Page 51 of the 5th Blood Angels Codex. It is said that the Sanguinor only appears before the Blood Angels when circumstances are extremely dire. So dire, in fact, that only a few are actually recorded to have seen him in person. The only ones who are certain that the Sanguinor is no myth nor hallucination are those privileged Blood Angels that have access to the chapter's Reclusium.
Wow, we just keep leaking classified information about different chapters, don't we?
No one
We do.
shall keep secrets from our Emperor.
I am not talking about holding secrets from him.
About
I am talking
the entire
about openly
populace.
discussing this kind of stuff in a Voxcast publique.
I do not believe this is classified information as much as it is history. No one bothered to confirm one way or the other.
Within the Reclusium that I was just talking about, there is a single iron-clasped volume recording every single account of the Sanguinor's manifestations across the millennia.
Manifestations is a strange choice of words.
Almost as if this bargain bin Sanguinius is some sort of warp entity, huh? Taking into account how your soul seems to be all over the place, ever considered if you have your own little never-born offspring strutting around? Like this Sanguinor, perhaps?
Even if I did, I would not be telling you about them, creep. I do not need you inviting my never kids to your extra mundane Sunday school.
No, that's all right. I'm certain their father wouldn't even be there to pick them up afterwards, seeing as how he's stuck at home being an armchair activist in the most literal sense of the word.
Can I continue talking about the Sanguinor now?
You
No,
may.
do not let this cruddy demon jealous here stop you.
Like your grasp on this realm, your insults grow ever weaker.
The book goes on to say that determining the Sanguinor's nature is just about as hard as his glistening armored abs.
Does it actually say that?
A couple of members in the Blood Angels chapter council theorized that the Sanguinor is an amalgam of the Primarch's nobler side, the part that kept him from fully grasping his big, black, quivering murder boner.
Gods, how impious.
Yes, the horde illusions need to get thrown out the window.
If only illusions could be thrown.
It's a sanguinary god.
I wonder what this actually is. Because Sanguinius is dead, right? Bro got absolutely destroyed. Actually, let me rephrase that. He nobly sacrificed himself in order to save the Emperor. So does that mean that this is like a part of his soul manifesting to those of his chapter in order to help protect them? Maybe it's a similar case to like the Emperor possessing people at times, but he can only do that every so often because it obviously takes a lot out of him and he's constantly in pain. Maybe it's a similar situation to that, but to a lesser degree.
God, the Blood Angels' most elite veterans, believe him to be one known as Ascalon, whom is the founder of their order. His body preserved by the powers of your grace, my king. His head ever encapsulated inside the golden death mask he has worn throughout the millennia.
I will always take credit where credit is due, and credit is always due to me, for I am the reason you all live.
Objectively incorrect.
But I must say that it is well within reason for a space marine to survive for many millennia, as long as no major harm comes to their organs and
yeah, space marines are insane.
Their suspended animation membrane, they should be good.
This is true. There is specific mention of a marine called Epimetheus within a record simply called Pandarax, whom survived in suspended animation for just around 10,000 years.
10,000.
Well, it is either that, or the mantle of the Sanguinor is simply passed down from marine to marine, and has been for 10,000 years. That would make even more sense, don't you think?
I believe him being a warp entity makes the most sense.
You insane pulpiteer.
Besides the notion of him being a manifestation of Sanguinius's noble nature, the Blood Angels are known to be obsessed with their Primarch.
Why wouldn't
and
they be?
Of course, your son Sanguinius is basically your very own Jesus.
Oh,
pretty much, yeah.
His very own what?
His... Yes, this sounds like a food?
My glorious golden hot boy is not a Jesus.
No, he absolutely is. He's like a brazen parallel to Jesus of the old religions.
Yeah,
Everyone loves him. He has flowing, beautiful hair.
And he gave his life for you.
Himself. He has his own day dedicated to him. He's nicer than his dad. Naturally, the warp working as it does, this Sanguinor would coalesce within the Imperium.
He's saying a lot of things that make a lot of sense.
Entity formed from the massive worship of your son. If you are the father and Sanguinius is the son, then the Sanguinor is perhaps the Holy Ghost.
Oh my god.
Please
He's cracked the
drawing
case.
Connections to your old superstitious nonsense. It is worsening my eternal headache.
Oh no! You do not get to use the word superstitious anymore, friend. That word has passed its expiration date by many millennia.
Screw you. Expiration dates are guidelines, not rules.
Would this logically conclude that there is a warp ghost of me sailing around the Immaterium? I too have a day. It is not as popular, but it exists.
Really? I didn't know that.
Maybe.
No.
I would like to call it the Adorbador.
Stop.
Yes!
He comes to your hab blocks when you sleep and fixes your walls.
Oh,
Next question.
He's so cool.
Yes, of course.
Adorbador.
To the most illustrious emperor of mankind, my lord, I hope this missive finds you in tolerable health and happiness.
It does not.
I am a sanctioned imperial psyker, formerly of the Ordo Hereticus branch of the Inquisition, based in the Calixis sector. Since your decree that the Inquisition be disbanded and all personnel return to civilian duties, I have been out of a job. I cannot return to my homeworld, Piety of Seth, which is currently being invaded by Xenos. I am struggling to find work on Scintilla, as the masses in general do not trust or like me, and the nobles and Adeptus Arbites are all corrupt and secretly in league with some kind of vile pain cult. I also have no experience working in a Factorum environment, and would be a constant health and safety risk to my fellow laborers. I humbly beg you, my lord, as the greatest and most perfect psyker in all of the galaxy, what advice can you provide to any and all itinerant Imperial psychers left wandering far from home, unemployed, or otherwise vulnerable to the mercies in a distrustful and hostile populace. What kind of work or career options would you recommend, and what role can psychos really play in a modern Imperium of Man? Yours in eternal service, Ekalon Quilan.
I do
Good
believe
sacrifice
this
to
man
me.
missed the memo I entrusted the Ecclesiarch to send out.
That would be because of its origins. It takes a bit more time for information to reach in and out of the Calixus sector.
Let it be known, the Inquisition, which is real by the way to all civilians and guardsmen who were wondering, is not to be disbanded anymore.
Oh, that's... I didn't know before, actually. I thought that the Inquisition and the Inquisitors and stuff like that were all well known. But even, well, there's one cutscene in Darktide where you receive orders from an Inquisitor, and you kind of receive it through like some sort of recording or hologram or, I don't know, FaceTime. But the guy's face constantly keeps on changing, and you don't really know who it is, because apparently they need to keep their identity safe, which makes a whole lot of sense when you actually think about it, considering, you know, what they have to deal with. So I suppose the actual existence of the Inquisition is probably not well known, and if it is, it's kind of spoken in whispers because of the fear of mentioning it may bring them to your door. Stuff like that.
It was just a prank, at the expense of the most horrid, authoritarian parts of the Inquisition, so I could have them banished to the warp. Loyal subjects such as you, Aklon, are allowed to continue your work as long as you do not use your unquestioned watchdog dominion over the sector to murder babies or something.
Unless they are traitorous babies.
What do you mean, traitorous babies?
They haven't even... They're not old enough to even do that.
If we are fully capable of stopping it.
God.
What? Better to just make sure out of them, honestly.
What? A baby can't be a traitor. A baby is a baby.
Oh, your outrage truly is rich, Padre, considering your ex-religion invented the concept of original sin.
What?
Oh, God. That's right, the cherubs are actually like literal babies, right? That they modified. I forget the exact reasoning behind it. It might literally just be like traitorous babies.
Oh, God, that's not similar in the least. You're all disgusting.
I question your judgment, Coas man. I am certain your church is made out of dead babies.
That's objectively incorrect.
What is it made out of
Rather
then?
impressive.
What?
How did you build such a structure? The foundation must have taken you months to construct.
No, my church is not made out of dead babies.
You know what? I'm going to continue on with the next question now.
Oh, the pain never ends.
The pain never ends.
Dear Corpse Emperor, I know it is surprising for us Coas Astartes to communicate with your Imperium in a non-violent way, but I assure you I'm sending you this friendly little letter with no ill intention. You see, it happens that after our last successful revenge plot on the fluging furries on Fenris, our Primarch, Magnus the Red, had mysteriously vanished from his tower. During our victory party, no less. Imagine that. We didn't find his psychic trace anywhere on Sartarius, and our Corvidae seers can't divine his presence in the warp. Apparently, someone or something is blocking them. No clue, no lead, nothing. Besides, his disappearance can't be the result of one of the Dark Gods or filthy Xeno-species. They would already boast about it, which leaves you and your Imperium as the last suspect in this mess. Consequently, I am asking you this one question. Have you anything to do with the absence of our primogenitor? Because we are one of the few legions who managed to remain on good terms with our Gene Father, for the majority of us anyway, and we really miss him. Sincerely, Jehuti, Thousand Sons Sorceress. P.S. I enchanted this message so that any member of your cult who read it thinks it's a letter of praises to the God Emperor, and he should read it in order to bypass any potential filter and or censor. Don't blame them too much.
Looks like the Administratum Spam Filter Divisio is getting promptly restaffed. This garbage being thrown straight in my face is inexcusable.
The sorcerer told you he enchanted the letter.
One would have thought that a simple enchantment should have been noticed when sorting through mail intended for the Emperor of Mankind. It could have been a melted charge. It could have been super anthrax. In fact, we may be breathing in the super anthrax right now.
You never know.
Hey boy, are you dead?
Not yet, my lord.
Alright,
Thank goodness.
super anthrax ruled out.
How about answering the goddamn question instead of worrying about super anthrax?
Right. Yes, I kidnapped Magnus.
You did what?
You heard me, red face.
Well, yeah, long story short, we sent the Ultramarines. That's all you need to know. Maybe this is just me, but I think it's actually really cute that, like, the Chaos Marines for Magnus's The Thousand Suns are like, where's our dad? And they're actually willing to send a letter and try to communicate with us instead of, sending a raiding party to destroy the place. They probably wouldn't succeed, but still.
Kidnapped Magnus. I had him brought here to my palace in a box to serve me once more. So, to the haughty pile of stale wizards he calls sons, you can either get going with your repentance post-haste or dissolve into nothing. Those are your choices.
So could you run that one by me again? I don't think, like, we can't just walk by what you just said as if it's not something that you just said. This is not something we can just ignore.
I stabbed Sinch in the face repeatedly as to reclaim Magnus's soul. He is loyal to my cause once more, and you all can suck it long and hard.
Stabbed? Siege in the face?
You can go on with the next question. I am done with this one.
Bro, Zinch lost to friggin' Kitten in a children's card game. The Emperor can certainly just stab Zinch in the face. It's not unbelievable. Although, this guy probably has not seen that special episode, which is a massive shame because it was incredible.
Certainly. Alright. This one is a bit... I can barely see what it says, but let me try. Alright. God and poor, I draw a picture of Gork and Mork crumpet to prove the orcs is that biggest and the strongest. It's I on the back. Strong me from Ugok. What the fuck? And turning around, we can indeed see a picture of two stick figures with dubious-looking knives and greenskins chopping away at a pool of blood with a face. Your face, judging by the hair, sir.
Judging by the hair? What? Oh, this looks like a picture I would draw. I have, like, no skill in art whatsoever, man. It is so sad. I've never been able to get past anything that isn't stick figures.
I am offended. Why do you idiots keep letting messages from that greenskins leak into my palace like acidic garbage water? JJJJJJESSUSS fucking Christ, get your shit straight, you.
Did it just blow up the sensor?
Gods above, my presence in this realm aches.
Did I kill it? Did I really kill it?
That is quite surprising.
Utter your favorite profanity to confirm this, my glorious overlord.
No. If it truly is true, I shall wait for the perfect moment to do it.
Oh my
I shall
god.
revel in the moment, feel the taste
We're gonna
of
have to wait for that.
and exercise the unshackled might of my vocabulary once more.
No more flues or flops.
You better read the next question before I spend this moment lambasting you and your gristly leather slacks.
I personally find my pants very fashionable. But, nevertheless, here's the next question. Emperor.
Well, rude, no my glorious emperor, or most splendid emperor, or extremely erogenous emperor.
Good.
Extremely erogenous emperor?
In your life.
And you need to wear something that is not a red-spangled potato sack.
Dude, it kind of does look like that, not gonna lie,
among
dude.
my sisters who survived the alcohol-induced coma from the news of your lack of divinity, I have a substantial amount of time to ponder over what answers I would request of you. I have come to one conclusion above all others. As you say, you're no god but a man, I will be blunt. I would have an answer to my question that has plagued my mind particularly for some time now. Surely, if you can share in the bad as well as the good, it would help us feel more connected to you on a real human level. You claim to be the product of a shortcut taken by ancient psychers to achieve the ultimate evolution of humanity. But does that not mean that at the end of the day you are still human? Should you not then feel the same guilt and doubt everyone feels? If so, I would know this. Have you ever had any serious doubts as to your goals and aspirations? Has anything ever made you reconsider any of your grand designs?
This is actually a really good question.
Humanity as a whole? Has anyone ever made you think twice? Is there anything that could or has made the greatest of our species think that perhaps our species is not worth saving to begin with? Cantus Advanced Lucael of the Adeptus Auroritas.
Alright, first off, this girl has for some reason convinced herself that, because I am no god, I am to be treated in an entirely different manner, as if disillusioned.
That is exactly what you wanted, though, is
Right?
it not?
That a god is greater than a man is a pre-manufactured assumption. To the ignorant, a god is greater, because the definition dictates it. To the enlightened, a god is a frail construct built on the foundation of our own morality. One easily toppled when we decide to resist it.
Gods, you're so rational right now. Great job.
Wow, every single time you rise is like, you're so rational right now. It kind of reminds me of somebody just saying, wow, how edgy teen of you. It gives off the same vibe. And I can see it, man. I see it.
Secondly, I do not carry it out. However, the future may pave my path forward, be it in the ways I had envisioned, or in unfavorable turns. I always make the situation my own. The state of mankind's future is ever shifting. I just make sure it shifts in my favor.
You're saying this, but it's kind of hard to take you at your word, considering you've been stuck as a corpse on a throne for the better part of 10 millennia.
Who is to say that is not part of my plan?
I sort of doubt that.
Right?
Next question.
It's really hard to believe.
My might, Emperor, I am but a corpseman of Krieg, fitted for the grinder, but I must ask you as I ride in the Panzerwagen, fitted for transportation, do you forgive Krieg? Do you forgive all our treachery, all those years ago? We have thrown countless men, boys really, at traitors, Xenos, and the dreaded forces of Coas alike, seeking for forgiveness.
A shovel, no less.
So I, a lowly soldier, heading for his demise, ask you, do you forgive Krieg and all we have done for the Imperium so long ago?
Normandia?
Number
Oh no.
8056, the western front of Normandia.
Sure.
Sure.
Wow, that is probably the single greatest endorsement a planet has received since the heresy.
I mean, here's the thing. I do not really know what you did, but if you remain loyal, you are forgiven. Just keep fighting the good fight, my man, and get yourself a real name while you are at it.
What on Terra is a Panzerwagen?
Now that is a food. Offal,
Kinda
ration,
does sound like
comes
a
in a
food.
tin.
Next question it is.
Oh, damn it. How many are there?
Do
Don't
not
worry,
worry,
guys. I
this
know
is
what a
the last one.
Panzerwagen is.
To my manliest of men, Man Emperor. Tragedy has befallen our pitiful planet known as Nelson 420. Is it? Since your
Plays it.
glorious words reached our Voxcasters, seeking to settle the great taco debate peacefully.
Taco debate? What?
We held a democratic vote, mandatory upon pain of death, of course, to determine which day would be deemed most worthy of occasions to eat such a sacred meal. Alas, what were once hushed heretical whispers of rebellion among our society have become open shouts of defiance, calling themselves La Campa de Taco. These lunatics are led by she who calls herself Sister Beehive, as if to mock the very Adeptus Auroritas she pits herself against. They preach encouragements to indulge in that which we hold to be the foulest of taboos, that the consumption of the sacred taco should be held on any day of one's choosing.
That's what I'm saying. I'm a part of this camp. Like, just eat tacos every day. Or you know what? Maybe we can mix it up and throw in some burritos. I wouldn't be that opposed to that idea.
Despite our attempts to combat this heretical revolution, I fear that our world may soon be beyond salvation. My only wish is for you and all of the Imperium to know of our plight, so the history need not repeat itself. Your most humble of servants, Lord Governor Casket of Case.
Inexcusable.
Unforgivable.
Unjustifiable.
Indefensible.
Reprehensible.
Without justification.
Absolutely disgusting.
To eat the taco on a day of one's choice is to defile the sacred bond between you and the very modus operandi of the taco.
It is not you who gets to make the choice of when the taco is to be eaten.
tacos.
It is the taco that makes the choice.
Exactly.
taco makes the choice.
Creed clearly states that the taco, by its definition, defies consent of consumption outside of its...
Bro, you're right. Urias has got to be like, what in the world is going on in the Imperium? I need to get back to the Imperium, man. This place is crazy.
Designated Taco Day.
Consensual consumption outside of the delegated time period is a myth.
What are you talking about? Tacos? Non-consensual consumption? What?
Last Voxcast, Lord Adorable and our Emperor started a civil war over what day tacos should be eaten.
But tacos aren't even that good.
Send him back to wherever he came from, Father.
What the fuck? Okay, ignore all of his arguments. None of them make any more sense. He is a heretic. Not because he worships Coas, but because he dislikes tacos.
He is unwanted here, and he doesn't want to be here.
Yes, this kind
Stupid
of grave
Urias, I never
sacrilege is
liked
not
you anyways.
welcomed in my palace.
Oh, finally!
You better not fiddle with the altar boys, preacher.
Oh, whoa,
even if they are
whoa.
Colespons, would not want to decimate the remainders of your betrothed crotchicle.
Brilliant rebuttal, Bone Boy. Push comes to shove, I know that I can always count on you to try and hamstring me with an accusation that I am a pederast. In the future, try cremation. It sure as hell beats shutting yourself up in a palace-sized coffin, listening
Fair.
to your own bones creak in agony. You glorified dog treat.
Screw you, Uriah.
Screw you, Revelation.
And there he goes. Such a fun guest.
You know what? I really do want to ship it.
No, you don't want to do that.
Can I ship it?
I don't think so, my lord.
No, that is full-blown heresy.
Use the H word Mark II.
Nevertheless, that was certainly dumb. But, come to think of it, you have my thanks for informing me about this incredible reservoir of Sakari. If other records go into as much detail as the last church did, I could learn so much about the happenings of Imperial history.
Oh, yes, absolutely, my Emperor. We want more. We need more. These superb spurts of knowledge cascading upon the skin of
I
our
need
collective
more.
encephalons
This is
truly
great.
carries addictive qualities.
Shut your failure of a face or sinew.
And that is our cue to end the Voxcast.
I totally forgot we were broadcasting this. I feel like this may come to bite me in the ass in the future.
Probably,
And
yes.
thank you to everyone listening. Remember that no matter what, you make this Imperium. The Imperium does not make you. That is all.
Uriah had pretty lousy arguments, yes? No one would ever
Lousy?
consider joining his cause after hearing this, yes?
It's all good.
Yes,
you.
That is not an answer.
Anyway, hope to see you all next time.
Sweet.
Have a good one, and Emperor bless.
The Emperor protects. Oh.
Hey, we have another podcast going on Zoran the Bear's channel called Bear Necessities. Bear Necessities.
Oh.
Bear Necessities, in which me,
Of course
Alpha
it
Abuser,
is.
and Zoran sit around and talk about 40k, non-40k, dumb Elder Scrolls characters, other shit we can come up with on the spot. I think I mentioned my bank details once.
There's so much
What?
drama.
Go there! Bare Necessities, if you want. Not forcing you or anything, it's a thing that exists. Bare Necessities. At your leisure, at your price, at your conditions, at your everything you want, straight to you. You want my keys, you can have my keys. You want my car, I don't have one. You want me,
Oh,
you're gonna
that's
have to pay
unfortunate.
premium, buddy. That does not come cheap.
Right with that.
At least
If
you
want
value
my
yourself.
clothes, you're not getting them. Those are expensive. More expensive than me. I don't remember my rates, but if you want a business card, buy them from my dad. Buy my dad, Ben. Buy my card, Ben. From my dad, Ben. Buy me, Ben. And then we
How much
can
does
get
your
back.
dad
Oh,
cost?
jeez.
No, don't go that way.
was-
It's a tart.
That was
It's
too
a
much.
tart.
Bare necessities.
Okay, wow. That was certainly an ending to the podcast. But yeah, that was awesome. I would say it was incredibly informative, and I really loved the counter arguments that both the Emperor and Urias made. I feel like the script for this particular podcast was really tight. But yeah, that's gonna be it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.